Over the years inside of Destiny, we've created some strange alliances. From our fellow at Linksney, like Ido, to our Cabal Empress, Kaido, to now, Vex and Close. All of us have had the same unified goal, to get that sweet precious loot. But as I stand here in Darce's outpost gazing upon these Vex and Close, I can't help but wish we can communicate with them. Thankfully, today's sponsor, Babbel, is an award-winning app that makes learning a new language simple and effective. With Babbel, you can learn a variety of languages, including French, Dutch, Russian, and many more. Babbel courses are created by over 200 language experts. It's like having a private tutor directly in your pocket. And one of my favorite things about Babbel is that you can listen to podcasts in the language that you're trying to learn, meaning I can essentially AFK farm XP and still learn French at the same time. Babbel is well known across the world. It has over 25 million subscriptions and over 1.6 million 5-star app store ratings. I signed up for Babbel when I wanted to make sure I was getting the best bang for my buck when trading my salvage in for new gear. Turns out, the fall have been ripping me off, man. All jokes aside, after using Babbel, I can confidently say, yeah, and also thank you in multiple languages. If you want to start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks, click the link in the description down below or go to babbel.com/Aztecross and you'll get up to 55% off your subscription. That's up to 55% off your subscription when you use our link down below. Join the millions of Babbel learners that are breaking the language barrier every day at babbel.com/Aztecross. Guys, today we're going to be looking at Fimbulwinter Stitch, our other new dawning weapon. This one, an Arc Precision Frame Sidearm, which is a pretty interesting archetype because we don't really have that many precision sidearms in the game. Hell, the last one we received was insurmountable back during episode Revenant. And then before that, I'm pretty sure it was probably Boudica from Season of the Plunder. So yeah, not a whole lot in this archetype. Now let me just say, I wasn't too keen on the sidearm. Precisions have some of the lowest DPS among sidearms, according to Mossy Max's outgoing damage scaling spreadsheet. And even our own quick DPS test, we were clocking it at the second lowest DPS, only beating out a heavy burst, which I don't even have a tiered version to test one of these yet. However, this was all at base. It's not taking into account any of the perks. And let me just say, this sidearm has got a lot of good arc synergistic perks going for it. On top of that, inside of PvP, it is a force to be reckoned with. I have shredded Guardians with this sidearm in multiple different duels, and I was pleasantly surprised every single time. Now let's start with the perks on this thing. In our third column, we have Rapid Hit, Trickle Charge, Rangefinder, which by the way just got a buff, Loose Change, Supercharged Magazine, Collective Pugilism, and Lone Wolf. In our fourth column, we have Killing Clip, Jolting Feedback, Rolling Storm, Collective Action, Precision Instrument, Redirection, and Voltshot. Now let's start with those two new perks in columns 3. First is Trickle Charge. This reads that receiving or discharging Bolt Charge partially loads the magazine from reserves. Now testing with the enhanced version of this perk, each stack of Bolt Charge that we earn reloads about 10% of the magazine, which with the base mag size of 12 means roughly 2 shots. Now when discharging Bolt Charge, this is refilling 20% of the magazine, which equates to about 3 shots loaded. Now I will say something during our testing, gaining a stack of Bolt Charge would load 3 shots instead of 2, which seemed to most commonly happen if we gain multiple stacks of Bolt Charge at the same time. But I do want to say this wasn't always the case. I imagine this is just a rounding thing, but either way, you should be getting around 2 to 3 shots auto-reloaded whenever you proc this perk. Now keep in mind, this cannot overflow your magazine, but it is an overall pretty solid perk. There's a ton of ways to gain stacks of Bolt Charge, including Rolling Storm in that fourth column that we're going to talk about here shortly, and you are heavily incentivized this season to rock Bolt Charge considering we have the artifact mod Dielectric. Now do keep in mind that this perk isn't going to let us shoot Fimbulwinter here practically forever, since the sidearm does have a pretty low base magazine count, which is one of my biggest complaints with the sidearm, and will usually need multiple shots to kill. But still, a nice way to auto-reload some ammo occasionally. Now the other perk is Supercharged Magazine. This is another new one that launched with Renegades, which states that while amplifying, ammo is gradually transferred from reserves to the magazine, and while in Speed Booster, ammo regenerates faster and overflows the magazine. Now this is another really easy way to top off your mag. As with this perk, it's going to refill 5% of your mag every 1.5 seconds while amplified. And then when you enter Speed Booster, after sprinting for a short time while amplified, this is going to refill 5% of your mag every quarter of a second and can overflow your mag up to double capacity. Now with this being a sidearm with such a low mag count, this means you're essentially getting 1 round filled every 1.5 seconds just for being amplified, or even faster with Speed Booster. On top of that, you can get that overflow. If you have something like extended mag, you can overflow up to 32 shots, which is quite nice. and something you almost need considering the mag size on this weapon. It's another great option here, guys, but I would argue and say that both these perks are super easy to take advantage of, and really just try them both out. The only thing I will say about Supercharge here is you really want to take advantage of the speed booster overflow before entering an encounter. And it's not that you can't proc it during, but you do got to stop, run around for a little bit, get speed booster up, get that mag overflowed. It is a bit awkward to suddenly just stop shooting in the middle of a gunfight to overflow your mag size. And so it really does tie into the content and the difficulty of the enemies that you're dealing with. And it's something like Lawless Frontier, for example. Some of these enemies can be quite tanky, so I would find myself running through my overflowed mag fairly quickly. Still a good perk though, guys, but something to keep in mind. Now, those are the two main perks I'm interested in for columns 3 inside of PvE. You do have traits like Loose Change, which grants reload speed, aim assist, and ADS movement speed when applying an elemental debuff to a target. You also have Rapid Hit, which is a classic one, boosting stability and reload speed on precision hits. Neither of these are bad perks, but not really my top choices. Plus, I'm a bit biased towards the new stuff. Now, moving over to columns 4. We've got a lot of good pairings here. First up, we have Jolting Feedback. Dealing repeated damage with this weapon inflicts jolts, and while amplified, jolt is applied faster. This is almost always a great perk. However, on the sidearm, it unfortunately takes 10 shots to proc at base, or 8 shots when amplified. And keep in mind, guys, at base, this sidearm only holds 12 shots in the magazine, which is why if you are going to run Jolting Feedback, 1000% you need to pair it with either Supercharged Magazine or Trickle Charge, just to help feed some ammo back to yourself. Now, another classic Arc perk here is Voltshot. Reloading this weapon after defeating a target overcharges this weapon for a short period of time, causing it to jolt on its next hit. A pretty straightforward perk, but such a good one. I'm sure we've used this perk a million times by now across various different weapons. The only deterrent I would say picking up Voltshot is the fact that the only reload pairing options you have would include Rapid Hits or Loose Change, which can work. Now, the final arc-based perk on the weapon is going to be Rolling Storm. Final blows grant Bolt Charge, while amplified, final blows grant additional Bolt Charge. Now, with the enhanced version here, each weapon kill is going to grant 1 stack of Bolt Charge, or 2 stacks while you're amplified. And if you have no Bolt Charge stacks at all, your first kill will grant you 3 stacks of Bolt Charge right out the gate, or 4 stacks while amplified from that first kill. Now, I know this perk is not outright as lethal as Voltshot or maybe even Jolting Feedback, but Bolt Charge is still incredibly powerful. This perk also has excellent synergy with Trickle Charge, as it's going to allow us to load more ammo into our magazine. Now, as you can see from this clip here, we get our first kill with Rolling Storm, which gives us 3 stacks of Bolt Charge, and our mag goes from 5 to 9, which is 4 shots loaded. And then in this clip here, when we're amplified, our first kill is going to give us 4 stacks of Bolt Charge, and you can see our mag goes from 5 to 11, which is 6 shots loaded. Now, obviously, you're only getting this huge jump on that first kill with Rolling Storm, which kicks off your Bolt Charge, but this just shows how good the synergy is between these two perks. Now, in terms of other perks in columns 4, primarily for PvP, you've got Kill Clip and you've got Precision Instruments. Definitely 2 perks we're going to be looking at in just a moment. Now, in terms of damage perks for PvE, Collective Action is also present here, but I would really consider Redirection. This perk states that damaging rank and file combatants increase damage against more powerful ones. Now, how this perk works is that each hit against a red bar enemy grants you 2 stacks of Redirection, which goes up to a max of 30 stacks. And then when you deal damage against an orange bar enemy or higher, each shot consumes 2 stacks when using the enhanced version of this perk. Now, this grants you a whopping 100% increase in damage, and you can have up to a max of 15 shots with this damage buff. Redirection is very nice, guys. A very good damage perk. Granted, I wouldn't necessarily recommend blowing your load into a major enemy or higher with the Precision Frame Sidearm. Number 1, primaries are just weak. Number 2, it's also a precision, which is why you probably should still lean more into the arc synergies, as you're going to be going for utility and you're going to be going for ad clear. Now, this takes us to our origin traits. We really only have one available here, and that is Dawning Surprise. This reads that defeating targets awards a Dawning gift. Defeating powerful targets counts as more than 1. Now, this works based on an internal meter with different enemy types granting more progress. For instance, red bars and guardians are going to give 16.7% progress, or 20% with the enhanced version. For elites, mini bosses, and bosses, that's a whopping 50% progress. Now, when that internal progress meter is filled, the enemy defeated will drop a Dawning gift, which you can then pick up, and this will grant you 10% grenade, melee, and class ability energy. It also restores 22 HP and begins health regeneration. I feel like some people look at this origin trait and they're like, all right, it's for Christmas, it's called Dawning Surprise. Nah, man, this is actually a good origin trait, and it's good year round. Now, in terms of the God Roll for PvE, you do have a lot of options, but I do think think that both Trickle Charge or Supercharged Mag are going to pair very nicely with Jolting Feedback. I also like the combo of Trickle Charge and Rolling Storm, especially if you have a good setup to discharge that Bolt Charge, such as a high uptime build like Getaway Artist on Warlock or even Storm's Keep on Titan. Now, if you're an Arc purist, you could always just roll the classic combo of Rapid Hit, Loose Change with Voltshot, or if you just want to go for pure damage, I think Supercharged Mag and Redirection is also a good combo. For me though, guys, I think my ideal tier 5 God roll would be Trickle Charge, Supercharged Mag, and maybe Loose Change in that third column, along with Rolling Storm, Jolting Feedback, and Voltshot. It's not that I don't appreciate Redirection, I'm just not looking to take out high health targets with this sidearm. And until Bungie actually gives us a more forgiving Mechanier Strict Sleeves, I'm sure some of you even forgot that exotic even exists, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to manage Redirection stacks on the sidearm. Not saying you can't make it work, and not saying you can't make Mechanier Strict Sleeves work. I just find the most value with this sidearm is leaning into those arc synergies. I do want to mention, guys, if you are going to be using this inside of PvE, definitely take advantage of our volatile mods this season. We have an entire guide on how to get them. It's very RNG dependent, but overpressure munitions and kill shots are very good. Munitions is going to give you that 17% increase against Cabal enemies. Kill shot is going to give you an extra 250 damage for simply getting a kill and reloading. Considering the mag size on this thing, you're going to be doing that a lot. In terms of artifact synergy though, Dielectric is definitely the way to go, as every time you defeat arc debuff targets, this will grant you Bolt Charge, and then rapidly defeating arc debuff targets spawns an orb of power and heals a small portion of health. It's a great pick if you're rocking Trickle Charge on this weapon. But then we also have that fifth column perk, Elemental Orbs Arc. This states that arc weapon final blows have a chance to spawn an arc elemental orb. Now these orbs can be thrown or they can be shot, and they create an arc explosion that jolts targets that it damages. I know a lot of us have been focused on the sword artifact perks, but if you're rocking an arc weapon, 1000% you should be considering this artifact mod. Now let me just stress, guys, this is by no means a powerhouse of a sidearm inside of PvE. It lacks in terms of DPS. Its mag size is straight awful. Granted, you can boost this with things like a pendant mag, or perhaps you just full send it with reload speed and alloy magazine, sure. But what this weapon may lack in those areas, I do believe it has some fantastic perk combinations here, and it's surprisingly fun to use. However, this takes us to PvP. PvP, I had a different experience. Now, I know some of you may not consider a sidearm inside of PvP. Why would you? As within that range, you've got a number of options that on the surface seem deadly, from SMGs to a number of special weapons to hell, even hand cannons. For whatever reason though, Fimbulwinter here was actually shredding. With a 0.7 time to kill value at 3 crits 1 body, I felt pretty solid with this sidearm. But then if you roll Precision Instruments, that still maintains that 0.7 time to kill value at 3 crits 1 body. But at 160 weapon stats, that now jumps up to 2 crits 2 body. Guys, that's pretty forgiving. And again, it kills very fast. Hell, even if you mess up and have to land 5 shots, that's still a 0.92 second time to kill value. And one thing I've really noticed about the sidearm is that it just takes people by surprise. On top of that, I feel like the flinch that the weapon produces, even without high cal rounds, was just messing people up. Now, you could use something like Kill Clip. Yes, that drops our TTK value down to 0.47 seconds at 3 crits. But again, I really like Precision Instrument. If you full send it, get that 160 weapon stats. To me, it really puts out. And keep in mind, guys, we have the Disaster Corpse armor set, which gives us a 2-piece bonus, which states that reloading an auto rifle, a scout rifle, or a sidearm after a final blow slowly restores health until we re-enter combat, with the 4-piece stating that when you reach critical health or heal an ally at critical health, auto rifles, scout rifles, and sidearms gain a period of increased range, stability, and reload speed. I really like here, guys, that we have a tangible benefit directly to this weapon type coming from these armor sets, and yes, Fimbulwinter here can take full advantage. Now, what is the trait to pair with Precision Instruments? Lone Wolf is probably what most people are going to choose, but Rangefinder did just get a buff. That's right, guys. Rangefinder actually helps your range. Yes, it also affects your zoom and your increased projectile speed, but it now gives you plus 10 to your range stats. Now, what that really equates to is that the base fall off for Fimbulwinter here is 18 meters. With Rangefinder, that fall off begins at 20 meters. So pretty substantial. So I definitely want you to consider Rangefinder. I know it's been a dead perk for a very long time since Bungie decouples zoom from range, but if you feel good enough with your shots, a Rangefinder Precision Instrument roll with Hammer Forge and either High Cal or Ricochet, whichever one you want, with a ranged masterwork has a lot of reach. And again, you can also rock things like Opening Salvo. I know people look at these volatile mods and think of them only as mods for PvE, but it states right here that the weapon gains bonus range and deals more flinch at the start of combat for a duration. And yes, this works inside of PvP. We tested this out. It roughly tacked on like an extra 2 meters back during our testing. I will say when testing it here though with rangefinder, it still seemed like I was running into the same damage fall off as just rangefinder at base. Just the fall off wasn't as severe. So I actually wonder if there's some sort of cap that Bungie's placed here on sidearms in particular. Whatever the case, guys, Fimbulwinter is a very solid sidearm inside of PvP. However you may feel about it inside of PvE, yes, primary weapons are really hurting, they're lacking, but on the PvP side, this thing puts out. So guys, if you're trying to grind any of the dawning weapons, we'll have a guide linked to that down below. And if you're interested in one of the other dawning weapons that we reviewed, we'll have that one linked as well. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.